Oscar winners give a press conference and how to buy a sailboat.
I guess my feeling at this point in time is maybe we need to be completely a little bit more scary for the public.
Especially with the Delta variant, which is the hardiest and most contagious variant we've seen to date. We need all the protection that we can get. That's why the vaccines are so effective.
This is a pandemic of the unvaccinated.
We've got to get them vaccinated, and hopefully they will do it willingly.
I think we really need to make it clear that there are privileges associated with being an American.
We have to be more blunt, we have to be more forceful.
If you do not want to get vaccinated, you can work from home. You can homeschool your children. You can shop online. So where is this coming from? People saying, I'm now being forced to be vaccinated.
If you want to travel, you better go get that vaccine.
You should be wearing masks even when you are vaccinated if you are indoors.
If you wish to have these privileges, you need to get vaccinated.
We have to say something coming out, you don't get vaccinated, you're going to die. I mean, let's just be really blunt to these people.
Get vaccinated. Get vaccinated. Get vaccinated. Get vaccinated. Get vaccinated. Get vaccinated.
Four little words that are hurting America's pandemic response. What are they? Here, let Sean Hannity tell you. He loves these words.
Do your own research. Please do your own research. Do your own research. Do your own research. There's a ton of it right on, at the tip of your fingers on your own phone.
That phrase, do your own research, it's popping up a lot in conversations about coronavirus and about COVID vaccines. Nicki Minaj used similar wording in that tweet this week, saying she was doing research. But this go-it-alone approach, doing your own research, it seems so innocent, but it can have serious consequences.
You're a basic bitch.
Everything that guy just says is bullshit. Thank you. Sure.
Then strangled them, and finally dismembered their bodies.
Right.
Then the homelessness and all that. And now, the voice you've been waiting for.
There is a secret song at the center of the world, and its sound is like razors through flesh. I'm here to turn up the volume.
If you've been watching the news for the past few days or on Twitter or TikTok, you're probably familiar with the name Gabby Petito, the 22-year-old aspiring social media influencer who was reported missing after her fiancé returned from their van life excursion without her. But the way this story has captivated the nation has many wondering, why not the same media attention when people of color go missing? Well, the answer actually has a name, missing white woman syndrome.
Is that what this is? Just a case of missing white woman syndrome? Or is it a distraction? Maybe it's the Kansas City Shuffle.
This is a Kansas City Shuffle. They look right. And you go left.
So what is it a distraction from? I can remember back in 2013 when the world was waiting breathlessly for the Jodi Arias verdict. For some reason, that was what was on every single channel, except for Fox News, which was carrying the Benghazi hearings. And then, right in the middle of it, they switched over to the Verdict Watch, and you could only watch it on C-SPAN. And it was right about the time some of the little whistleblowers started talking about how there should have been backup on the way to help them, but it wasn't sent. That was the protocol, but for some reason they were stood down. It wasn't even particularly all that juicy because you had people like Trey Gowdy who, the guy's a fucking career prosecutor and he knows how to dig in with questioning, didn't dig in and say, well, who could have possibly ordered such a stand down and for them not to get help? But that didn't happen. Of course, none of the news networks could take a chance that he might, so we were all to assume that the biggest news in the world was whether or not this bitch was going to get convicted, which you fucking knew she was. Who cares? So what is it this time? Why are we being instructed to focus only on this murdered woman? What could they possibly not want us to be learning about? There's always plenty of things going on around the world that the news doesn't seem to want to talk about. There's massive shit going on in Australia right now.
It's not right what you are doing!
Protesters wreaking havoc in Australia for a second day, setting off flares, throwing rocks and bottles, and injuring officers. Police fired pepper balls and rubber pellets to break up the crowds marching through Melbourne, the country's second largest city. This round of unrest that also saw demonstrators block a busy freeway, it's in response to new rules, making COVID vaccinations mandatory for construction workers, along with the sudden shutdown of construction sites in the city for 2 weeks. Authorities say the frequent movement of workers was spreading the virus. But labor unions and some lawmakers are blaming right-wing activists for fueling the anti-vaccine chaos. The Washington Post reports there were encrypted messages circulating on social media encouraging demonstrators to wear high-vis construction gear to blend in.
The crowd is certainly getting bigger, and they're very passionate. I've just been struck in the back of the head by a can. That really hurt.
A local television reporter and his camera operator assaulted during the protest.
Oh! Hey! Oh!
Or maybe the tens of thousands of people that are coming across the southern border and are currently camped under bridges.
Is somebody asking the foreign nationals who are walking into Del Rio, Texas and setting up camps on this side of the border for proof of vaccination or a negative COVID test?
Well, first of all, I can readdress for you or re-talk you through what steps we take.
That is the policy for people who fly into the country. So if somebody walks into the country right across the river, does somebody ask them to see their vaccination card?
Well,
come on, man.
It could be the Department of Health and Human Services whistleblowers that Project Veritas is putting out.
It hasn't probably been done because the government doesn't want to show that the darn vaccine is full of shit.
Tell us about who this person is.
Dr. Gonzalez is one of our emergency room doctors at Phoenix Indian Medical Center.
And she's a federal employee?
Correct.
Now you got this guy in room 4 who got his second dose of vaccine on Tuesday, has been short of breath.
He's got myocarditis.
Yes.
Oh, this is bullshit.
Now, let's see.
It's probably myocarditis due to the vaccine.
Right.
But now they're not going to blame the vaccine.
Well, and you know what? But he has an obligation to report that, doesn't he?
They are not reporting.
Right.
Because they want to shove it under the the mat.
What patient was she referring to?
She was referring to that patient, that 30-something-year-old patient that had congestive heart
failure. And in that particular patient's case, it was not reported.
No.
The problem in here, they are not doing the studies. People that had it, you know, and the people that have been vaccinated, they're not doing any antibody testing.
It's super fishy.
Not that it hasn't been done, it hasn't been published.
It hasn't probably been done because the government doesn't want to show that the darn vaccine is full of shit.
The government doesn't want to show that the vaccine is full of shit.
It's not doing what its purpose was.
May I see your badges? You're Jody O'Malley with the Department of Health and Human Services. This is the United States government identification. I'm looking at the CDC website. It says that you're required to report adverse events following vaccinations. One of those would be congestive heart failure.
That's a huge one.
Were there other instances that they didn't report?
Oh, I've seen dozens of people come in with an adverse reaction.
Yeah, it's really sad. She had just come back from surgery, from leave.
So what are we looking at here?
You're looking at me transferring her to a higher level of care that could handle her condition.
And this is a colleague at your hospital who got sick.
She didn't want to take it because of her religious beliefs. And she was coerced into taking it.
There's also been some documents that have been released pertaining to a certain D-bag who's connected to a certain lying piece of shit doctor. And when I did a Google search on the PDF for this particular project, I didn't have anything pop up. I mean, I didn't scroll down more than 4 or 5 pages, but nothing popped up. And then you go to DuckDuckGo, and there it is right there on a PDF. So I'm thinking maybe it's something I shouldn't talk about all that much, but you should check out. It's not like we really needed any more evidence for the lab leak hypothesis that would get you banned from social media for even mentioning it as a possibility at the beginning of this year, but this is also talking about taking a man-made virus and releasing it into the wild bat population in China. And this was back in 2018, so yeah, it's definitely interesting. Now, I've been saying that I thought that 2021 was going to end up dwarfing 2020 as far as craziness goes, and I still think that to be the case. We're getting a little late in the year, but there is still plenty of time. I don't know exactly how it's going to play out. It could be a number of things that could happen. I mean, it could just be a massive financial crash and a start of the Great Depression 2.0. It could be a new, more deadly variant. It could be a terrorist attack or a mass shooting, say at like one of these vaccination sites. It could be a solar flare or an EMP that gets blamed on a solar flare. It could just be a hack attack on the power grid, or maybe even just on the internet. People don't seem to realize how dependent we've become on the internet for everything. If we just end up having the internet go down, that would cause such havoc and chaos, it would cause a financial crash. And I think we could end up seeing more than one of these things happen by the end of the year. Hell, we could even see a fake-ass alien invasion, the way they've been hyping that up the past year or two. There were some good lessons to be learned March of last year, but I don't think a lot of people got the message. It should have taught you that, hey, when the shit goes down, I don't want to be caught up with the jackasses going nuts in Walmart ready to fucking shank somebody over a value pack of shit tickets. Here we are a year and a half later, and I doubt very many people at all have prepared themselves any better for tough times. We're all so soft and domesticated like house cats. A lot of people live like their motto is give me convenience or give me death. And when shit gets crazy, they turn into whiny little babies.
Yesterday, I was safe in my mommy's tummy, and then I got born, and the world is so cold and hard. Wah! Money, please.
Don't be like that. Take this time to stock up on some shit to actually help you out. Even if it's just dried beans and rice, go ahead and put you some extra little food away, squirrel you away something so that if something does go wrong, you're not going to have to worry as much. And that's just a starting point. There's so many things that you can do that'll have you prepared for tough times should they come, which tough times come. That's just a fact of life. But it does seem like things are really coming to a head, and whichever direction we wind up going in, it's probably gonna be a pretty bumpy fucking road. Sláinte.
All I have in this world is my thoughts and my words, and I don't break them for no one. You understand? So say good night to the bad guy. 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 Come on. Come on.
night, so say good night to the bad guy. So say good night, so say good night to the bad guy. So say good night, so say good night to the bad guy. So say good night, so say good night, so say good night to the bad guy. So say good night, so say good night to the bad guy. So say good night, so say good night, so say good night to the bad guy. I told you, don't fuck with me. 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 You stupid fuck. Look at you now.